It's Wednesday. You know what that means. Another AEW Dynamite here on December 30th, 2020. And unfortunately, not the happiest of circumstances. It would be a lot better if we were just having a regular AEW Dynamite show. But today we actually saw a tribute show to John Huber, also known as Brodie Lee of the Dark Order, who passed away on December 26th, 4 days ago. But anyway, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Yeah, except for all this dust in this room, like I said. That's why I'm all
Yeah,
teary-eyed,
and
red-eyed.
like I told you before we started the show, it looked like you were chopping onions there. Oh,
Oh, yeah, it's these damn allergies, man.
yeah.
That's what it is.
It sucks, but yeah. So like I just said, John Huber, also known as Brodie Lee, Luke Harper, if you're a WWE fan, and Big Rig, he was also known on the indie scene, passed away 4 days ago from a unknown lung issue, not COVID. His widow confirmed that it was not COVID related. But yeah, a very sad time for the world of professional wrestling, but also uplifting time to see all the love and support and just all the outpouring of affection and love toward his family and toward Brody Lee, showing about how much of a great guy he was outside of the ring. But unfortunately, he passed away at the young age of 41.
Yeah, you're right. It was a very fitting tribute, from start to finish. I I can not really say that they could have done anything better. Considering the amount of time that they had to, I was really surprised they were able to put something like this together so quickly. But
Yeah,
I think it just goes to show you how much everyone at AEW, from the wrestlers, the staff, the refs, the management, all wanted this to go off as best as possible. They wanted this, to really showcase who Brody Lee was. And I think they put their heart and soul into it, you know, from, you know, from bell to bell, really. Not just the matches, but everything. It was really poignant. It was really well done.
yeah, I thought so too. It was of course, we wish that we didn't have to have this tribute show because then it would mean that Brody Lee would still be alive and kicking and probably destroying Cody. Uh, but unfortunately, it is what it is. And like you just said, I don't think AEW could have put on a better show. So we just get into it.
Yeah, I think so.
So we start off with the AEW locker room out on the rampway for a 10 bell salute. Also on stage is his wife and his 9-year-old son, Brody Jr., -1 of the Dark Order, and their uh, their other son, I think
3-year-old, I think.
3 year old. Is that how old he
Nolan.
is? But yeah.
Yeah.
So it sucks. I feel bad for him the most. I mean, he's a 3-year-old, and he probably doesn't even. He's probably not gonna have much memories, if any, at all, of his father. Because I don't know about you, but I don't remember much from when I was 3.
Yeah.
And
It's unfortunate. You're right. I can't really remember anything before 4 or 5, if I'm really being honest.
yeah, but
So,
But what is good is that he's gonna have a lot of footage to watch one day when he's
yeah.
older and when he realizes what's going on, and then he'll be able to see what a good man his father was by not just tonight, but from his career
Mhm.
up until now. So after the 10 bell salute, we get a Moxley interview, and he says, it's a hard time. It's hard, got hard times coming up with words, and he's overwhelmed by the incredible outpouring of support that's been going on the past few days. Brody brought joy to people all around him. He loved being a father, and he said that pro wrestling is a community, and tonight we come together to honor someone. And he says to appreciate our loved ones and stop and smell the sunrise every day. Every day is special. And he ends with telling Brody that he loves you, brother, and he'll never forget you. So yeah, perfect perfect starting intro interview with John Moxley. I don't think there's anything to add on that one from you.
No,
How
I don't got
about from
nothing.
you?
No. Yeah, that was perfect. John really hit it on the head there. Yeah,
Yeah,
nailed
and
it.
it's nice to see that pretty much Moxley and Brody Lee, back from their time in WWE too, as well as AEW. They've been on the opposite sides of the fence pretty much. They've been enemies pretty much their entire career. But it's nice that AEW does acknowledge that. Hey, behind the scenes, we're all real people, and
Yeah,
what you see on TV is not who everybody is in real
just the
life.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're damn
So
good at it. Yeah,
yeah,
but
and we
yeah,
start off with Matt Hardy and Private Party versus the Young Bucks and Colt Cabana. So this is going to be a special episode. Every match tonight is going to feature somebody within the Dark Order, or at least in the case of Colt Cabana, someone associated with the Dark Order. So they come out. The Bucks and Colt have Brodie Lee t-shirts on, and we have Jericho on commentary. And normally, I would love Jericho on commentary because Jericho's always funny and he's entertaining. But just another testament as to why Jericho's the GOAT. He toned it down a lot tonight.
mm,
It
he did.
wasn't about making wise jokes. I mean, he did throw it in there. He's got to stay true to who Jericho is on TV, but he really toned down the comedy and a lot of the snark tonight, which was very very refreshing to say the least, that he did that and he wasn't just on in on fire and in character up, as he normally is.
Yeah, you're right. I wonder if Jericho wanted to do that as much as they wanted him to do that. So what I'm trying to say is, because I know at times Tony was very emotional. Uh, you could tell
Yeah.
just by the way he was talking and stuff. So maybe they just, and maybe Excalibur too, but maybe they just needed Jericho out there too because he could really kind of keep it together
Mhm.
just in case. And he did a great job, like you said. He didn't really come to it too much with the sarcasm or snark. I mean,
Yeah.
there were parts, but he was there to really push forward what this was about, which was about Brody Lee. Yeah,
Yeah, especially during his match with when the match, well, we'll talk about it, but the match with his group, the Inner Circle, he anytime he's ever done commentary on an Inner Circle match, it's been ramped up to the nth degree. But tonight it was
1,000. Yeah,
very very much toned down. Anyway, getting to the match, the Colt and Isaiah Cassidy started off, and so in the beginning, the Bucks and Cabana are working well as a team. They do a triple drop kick onto Matt Hardy. Colt hits an Asai moonsault on everybody. They mentioned that Matt Hardy was speculated to be the Exalted One of the Dark Order, but it was Brodie Lee who was the Exalted One of the Dark Order, and he really elevated the Dark Order. And if you think about it, that's very true. Before Brodie Lee came in, the Dark Order was kind of, I want to say, almost hated by a lot of fans, to where they
kind of a
didn't,
joke,
they
really.
not even, yeah, a joke too, but a lot of people just didn't want them on the TV screen.
Yeah, you're right. It's hard to remember what it was like before Brody Lee came around because I mean that was before COVID too, right? But you bring up a good point. I remember there was a ton of Dark Order hate, and in
I
all
was one
honesty,
of them.
I wouldn't go so far as to say I hated them, but I just felt like they were going nowhere. There was just no place for him. I was like, these guys are jokes.
Yeah.
And he really legitimized that group. He really did more than
Hey,
I
thank
can
you for the
imagine.
follow,
Yeah.
Gabriel A. Ale. Gabriel, thanks for following. So, yeah, they also mentioned that Brody Lee was supposed to make his debut in Rochester, where he was from, but I think that was like the week before, or the week
Yeah. Week
COVID hit,
after.
and that's when everybody started shutting down. So the Rochester show eventually got canceled, and that was unfortunate. He never got to do his big debut, or even eventually end up going back to Rochester, New York, in front of a live crowd. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah. That would have been a huge pop, I'm sure. It would have been over the top.
Yep.
So it's unfortunate.
So the Private Party and Matt Hardy take control of Matt Jackson. Eventually, he hits his own twist of fate onto Matt Hardy, his own move. He makes a hot tag into Colt. He runs wild. Matt Hardy is directing traffic. He's telling Private Party what to do. They take too long. They pay for it. But Private Party does eventually hit Gin and Juice and the Twist of Fate on Nick. Mark Quinn hits the Shooting Star Press, but Colt and Matt Jackson break it up. And then Matt grabs a chair. Mark Quinn does not want to cheat, does not want to use a chair to win. It gives them enough time for Nick to tag into Colt. He runs wild. They get the the Bucks end up eventually do the Indie Taker, and the Superman pin by Colt gets the win. And they show Brodie's son in the crowd. He's got his suit and his mask on, and like I said before, he's -1 of the Dark Order. And just want to say, man, he's 9 years old. They said he's 9 years old. He really held it together very well the entire show. I think they put the mask on him, the Evil Uno mask on him, for a lot of reasons. Probably mostly for the reason that, just in case he breaks down and cries during the show, then you can't really see it and they can hide it a little bit. But you could tell he held it together very well, and I'm sure he was missing his dad and feeling emotional in his own right, but it looked like he was having a great time too.
Yeah, you're right. Considering the circumstances, he did a great job. That guy's a trooper considering everything, and I'm glad they were able to put together a show that he could really be a part of as we see going forward throughout the night. Yeah,
Yeah. So
this is a great match. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
I would say this was one of the probably the most fun match because of like
Oh, that's
the
true.
Colt.
That's a good way to put it.
It was fun. The Bucks did all their exciting, high flying moves. Colt's always good with his comedy. It was just a fun match. It wasn't.
Everybody was at the top of their game. There was no missed spots or anything that I can think of. Everyone really put together an A+ performance. It was great.
Pretty
The
much
chemistry between everybody. Yeah,
pretty much everybody tonight was put on their working shoes, as they say. Going full on, doing their
good way
best
to
to
put
put
it.
on a good show. So this is the only part I didn't really particularly like on the show. The Acclaim come out, which was kind of like, why these guys? Why now? And they say, we've got something to say about Brodie Lee. And thankfully, SCU comes out before they can even mutter one word. SCU comes out, tosses them into the ring. Super kick party and double dusty road elbows by Colt. And they all give the Bucks and Colt give the Dark Order sign. So I didn't particularly like this thing about what the Acclaim coming out, but I'm glad they didn't even get to say a word before they got their face kicked in.
Yeah, it was odd. So I'm glad that they didn't really get much off, like you said, before they got tossed out.
And I not so much too that it was the Acclaim, but they really implied like they were gonna come out and trash talk Brodie Lee and say something negative about him, and I was just like, no, this is not. Just please don't. And I'm glad AEW didn't do it. So
for a second there, I thought they were gonna come out and like do like a tribute like performance for Brodie Lee, which I was like, okay, I would have been okay with that.
That would have been fine.
But it was obvious, like after you said like the first words that came out of their mouth saying, we got something to say about the Dark Order. It's like, oh, okay, never mind. So
tonight
I'm glad it was broken up like it was, like you said.
Yeah. So for the lineup tonight, we've got for one time only, Brodie Jr.'s favorite wrestlers, Cody, Orange Cassidy, and 10 of the Dark Order is going to take on Team Taz. Silver and Reynolds and Hangman Page is going to take on MJF, Santana, and Ortiz of the Inner Circle. Anna Jay and Ty Conti versus Britt Baker and Penelope Ford. Uno, Stu Grayson, and Lance Archer versus Eddie Kingston and the Boys. And next up, we have Darby talking about Brodie and says, when he first met him, and the first time he met him was when he came to AEW and he wanted to wrestle him. And he realized very quickly that Brodie had no ego and he wasn't there to elevate himself and take someone else's spot, but elevate everyone in AEW. And he was the number one man. He was the number one dude he wished he could have wrestled. So nice tribute there from Darby. Anything you want to add to that one?
No, I mean, again, it was a great tribute by Darby. I will say that this is the first time I've really seen, or I guess considering the circumstances, really heard more from Darby than just the usual promo package or whatever.
Yeah, and he didn't
And
have his makeup on too.
yeah, exactly. You're right. And he was just, you know, telling it from the heart. It was nice. It was a good tribute. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got Uno Grayson and Lance Archer versus Eddie Kingston and the Butcher and the Blade. And Archer comes out. He's in Brodie Lee's ring attire. That he used to I don't know if he wore it on the indie scene because I don't really follow indie wrestling too much, but he was in the faded jeans and tank top that he wore at least early on in his WWE run as Luke Harper. And I remember uh did you ever watch Luke Harper in WWE?
Only highlights, man. I
And
I never really
I
watched
kind
WWE
of
during the
I
time.
kind of wish Lance Archer did this, but that tank top he wore was always like stained, and not like
Yeah,
it was always like sweat stained, and it looked so gross all the time, but it was so good, and
it was a nice
it
touch.
was a nice touch, yeah. But oh man, so I kind of wish Lance Archer did that whole sweat stain on the tank top. But can't be perfect. But it was nice of him to do that too. So Eddie comes out. His mic doesn't work. He grabs Justin Roberts' mic. He says, "Brody, I love you and miss you, but the Dark Order, you're nothing without him, and they're gonna prove it." So Evil Uno cracks him in the face to start the match. Archer body slams the Dark Order onto Kingston, and then the Dark Order double suplexes Lance Archer onto Kingston.
To Kingston.
So they're pretty much beating the crap out of Kingston in the beginning. Bunny interferes. She grabs Stu's leg, so Jake returns the favor, grabs the Blade legs. They go to picture in picture. Back from the break, Eddie has the advantage over Uno. He goes for the backhand, but Uno counters with punches and a half and half. Archer gets in. He wipes out the Blade. He does his impressive walk the rope and moonsault onto the Blade. He hits a pounce on the Butcher. Kingston hits a DDT on Stu while he's making faces at Jake outside. Everybody gets in. Everybody's fighting. Grayson and Uno hit Fatality on the Blade to get the victory. And anything you wanna add about this match?
First off, this was an awesome match too. Everyone was, at the top of the game, and I got to give a huge shout out to Lance Archer because I never knew he was that athletic.
Oh
He
yeah,
jumped on that top rope like he was Ray Phoenix, and then he did a moonsault too, which was insane. Wow, it was quite a match. It had a ton of energy to it, and it was action nonstop. There was one other thing I want to mention. Tony had one of the lines of the night
okay.
when they did the double suplex of Lance Archer onto Kingston. Tony said, "There's nothing wrong with crushing Eddie Kingston."
Oh, I did
Yeah,
hear that, but I didn't make a note of it. But that was a good
yeah, that
line.
was beautiful because that was right after, like you said, um, Archer slammed both Uno and Stu Grayson onto Kingston, and then the two of them suplexed Archer onto Kingston. So it was one move after another. It was great, beautiful all around.
Yeah. So after the match, they're still beating up Eddie Kingston, and Jake hits a short arm clothesline, and the Dark Order members and Jake pose as little Brody looks on in approval. So yeah, like you said, a good match. And moving on, that we've got a video package, photos of Brody and his family, and these are the ones that hit me the most. Where you see the person he is outside of the ring, his family man. Obviously, loved his wife and his two sons very much, and they talk about it. Dax of FTR, Arn, Colt, and Bryce Remsburg talk about just how much of a big family man he was. After the show, he was quick to go home to see his family because that's where his heart lied. Really, although obviously he loved pro wrestling, his family was his number one and his number one priority. And Bryce says that if there's a Mount Rushmore of wrestling dads, Brody should be on it.
Yeah, that was poignant. It was nice. It really proves who these people are outside the characters they play on TV. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was well done. Yeah.
So we've got Hangman, Silver and Reynolds versus MJF, Santana, and Ortiz. And John Silver is in the ring gear that I think Brodie bought for him, right? They mentioned he told that story on BTE this week that Brodie Lee actually paid for that gear for him,
Yeah,
like
yeah, a
over like
replica
a
gear.
over like $1,000, right, or something. And Brodie Lee
Yeah,
just, the great guy he was, he just bought new ring gear for John Silver, just out of the goodness of his heart and for no particular reason at all, I guess. So,
yeah, it was nice that he could wear it for this tribute. It was
mhm.
good. Yeah.
Wardlow is back, and MJF has Puerto Rican tights on, which was okay, fair enough. So, this was one of the highlights of the night for me. And although I don't watch BTE as much as I do anymore, I do catch it a little bit here and there. So, the beginning of the match, the Dark Order throws the papers in Santana and Ortiz's face, which was a signature of Brodie Lee on BTE, where he would throw the papers into the Dark Order's faces whenever they screwed up, which was quite often.
All the
And
time.
yep, Hangman throws the papers into MJF's face, and MJF goes on the outside. He gets in -1's face, and I was like, "Whoa, that's pretty good." But we'll see later that the kid was all in. He was into it. He wasn't like freaking out or anything like that. So Tony talks about MJF. So this was the line of the night for me, although it's not a particularly like. It's more of the tone and the emotion behind it, where Tony starts talking about MJF and how, like, just talking down of MJF, and Jericho says, "Hey, Tony, if you don't stop, I'm gonna reveal some secrets." And Tony just says, "No, stop." I just died at that line. I don't know. Anyway, go watch it. Hangman gets a tag in. He runs wild. This was awesome. This is the standout. The thing that stood out the most to me is that Hangman has really he's a big star. He's a main eventer. He looked like a much, they showed a clip of MJF and Hangman from 1 year ago for that diamond ring, but man, over that year MJF's become a bigger star, but Hangman he just feels like a bigger deal. He feels like he's on another level, for at
Mm.
least to me. So this part was kind of scary. John Silver hits a ankle Canadian destroyer on MJF, and
Oh yeah.
I'm glad that MJF didn't break his neck on this one. But then MJF hits a heat seeker. Reynolds makes a save. Wardlow gets in there. He wipes out Reynolds, and out of nowhere comes Eric Rowan. Eric Rowan, that was his name in WWE. He was famous. He was part of the Wyatt family with Luke Harper, Brodie Lee, and also part of the Bludgeon Brothers with Luke Harper, Brodie Lee. So they have a long history together. He comes in, he takes out Wardlow. Then they do they get a series of moves on Ortiz. The buckshot by Hangman, and then MJF is on the outside. He takes off -1's mask. -1 whacks MJF with the kendo stick, and he's full of smiles. This was awesome. And then Silver hits the Brodie Lee discus lariat on Ortiz, gets the win. Anything you want to say about the match?
No, that Eric Rowan surprise appearance was nice.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was poignant. He had a nice sign at the end. You could tell how emotional it was for him, considering they did a good job of really
Yeah. So
keeping that a secret. I
Jericho
will
even
say,
called him Eric Rowan. And then I think JR was like, it's Eric Redbeard, dude.
I will say, other than the line you mentioned, Tony also had another line of the night for me when -1 hit MJF over the head with a kendo stick. Tony said it with such enthusiasm. He's like, "Hit him again! Hit him again!" It's like, at times you can just feel that these guys really mean it. Hit him again! Hit him again!
Yeah. So
That's nice.
after the match, Eric Rowan, Eric Redbeard, whatever you want to call him, he comes back and he's got a sign. "Goodbye for now, my brother. See you down the road." And this was probably the most emotional part of the night for me anyway. I mean, you could see right after, as soon as Silver got the 3 count, he he just broke down in the ring. Could barely he could barely stand up. They had to
Yeah.
they had to pull him up
Help him
and
up. Yeah.
help him up because man, this was and I was kind of thinking too, I wonder if they'll bring in Eric Rowan, and I think this was perfect. I don't know if he's going to be signed with AEW and continue on, but at least if this was just a one-off, this was beautiful. This was really great, and I'm glad that he was the one person most associated with Brodie Lee when
Mm.
during his WWE career. So at least on screen. So it was nice that they gave him a little bit of time to at least say goodbye on screen.
Yeah. It
So
was well done.
yeah. So Eddie Kingston has a little an interview. He says, "Miss you." He misses busting my balls. Miss you believing in him when he didn't believe in himself. He tells Brodie's kids that he's not gone. His teachings lives on, and his father was a warrior. He took care of his family. So nice little interview by Eddie. Anything you want to say about that one?
Nah, just another good interview. He really came through as very, very real, I guess you could say. He comes through very real and just about everything he does, but you could tell that he was close to breaking down himself, and it was nice
Yeah.
that he had a message for the family at the end. It was good. Yeah.
And I'm glad they let him do this because Eddie Kingston has like kind of a tough guy, doesn't give a shit about anybody persona, but
Mhm.
they just let him be real for a moment, and yeah, it was great. So up
Yeah.
next, we've got Ty Conti and Anna Jay versus Britt Baker and Penelope Ford, and Britt and Anna Jay started off, and I gotta say, Anna Jay has improved a lot from her first match with Abaddon. So there was one part that was really weird in this match where I think Rebel was supposed to set Ty up for the double knees on Penelope, and she like took her to the wrong side or something. And it did you know what I'm talking about? And
Yeah, it seemed out of
it
yeah.
just looked weird where she like took him to one side of the ring and they were like, no, 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 carry her to the other side. And then she's like, oh, okay. So she's like dragging Ty onto the other side, and Ty has to pretend like to not be cooperating. So that was kind of weird. They
Very out
go,
of sync. Yeah.
yeah, they go to the break, and back from the break, Anna Jay gets tagged in. She runs wild. She hits a kick on Britt. She had a Anna Jay had a really hard time holding her emotions in. But eventually she locks in the Queen Slayer on Penelope. Ty runs interference, and Penelope taps. Anything you want to add about this match?
It was good.
Yeah, this was really
It
good.
was really good. It was really well done by all women involved. I sometimes feel that a lot of the women don't have the experience uh, or don't have the presence, but this time they did a really good job. All four of them, considering the circumstances too, with Anna Jay. I thought it was a great match. They did a good job putting this
Yeah.
together. Yeah.
Well, I mean, definitely Britt has the presence.
Oh well, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
But no, you're right. Like the women's matches are sometimes lacking on
Hmm.
Dynamite. But Tony comes down and interviews Britt, which is weird because they lost the match, but okay. So Britt says, Britt and the fourth wall breaking. She's sick of this conspiracy. The whole thing was rigged for the Dark Order, kind of like a big rig, and it's like a wink, wink moment because that was Brodie Lee's name on the Indies back in the day. And then Thunder Rosa attacks, and then she gets into it. She fights with Britt, and the officials have to separate all of them.
That was kind of weird. That was the one thing, kind of like how you felt about the Acclaimed, where I was like, did we really need this tonight? Like I don't know.
Like
I mean, it was over quickly,
a
but it was
wrestling
just like,
storyline and a tribute show kind of thing.
yeah, exactly. Like, uh, I don't know. It could have been saved, but it's fine. It was over. It was over within 30 seconds. So, yeah.
Whatevs. Yeah.
Yeah.
So next week we've got an appearance by Snoop Doggy Dog. Needs to get a jobby job. That's from Gin and Juice. Sorry, never mind. Kenny Omega versus Ray Phoenix for the AEW Championship. The return of John Moxley. Hikaru Shida versus Abaddon for the AEW Women's Championship. So the two big championship matches on week 1 of the New Year's. What are they calling it?
New Year's Bash, I
New
think.
Year's Bash. Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah.
The Young Bucks and SCU will take on the Acclaimed and the Hybrid 2. Wardlow versus Hager, probably the one I'm kind of looking forward to that the most, I want to say.
Oh, that's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes versus Matt Sydal, and Jericho will be on commentary again next week. And I expect Jericho to turn it on next week, the commentary on next week, which he didn't really do this week. And then the week after that was Darby and Brian Cage for the TNT Championship. Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa. FTR versus Jurassic Express, and Miro versus Chuck Taylor. So they have a little video package with Chris Jericho. He tells a story about them being in Saudi Arabia, and in the hotel room there was some kind of arrow or a sticker, or he thought it might be a bug, but just something on the wall that kind of looked like an arrow that was kind of irritating him, that he was just like, what is this random sticker doing on a hotel wall? He thought maybe somebody like was smart ass and vandalized the wall or something. But he said Brodie Lee came into the hotel room, and Jericho was like, yeah, look at this sticker. He probably had an F-bomb in there too when he said, look at this sticker, and Brodie Lee just told him, like, yeah, that's the arrow pointing to Mecca. And Jericho says, well, how do you know this? And Brodie Lee says, well, everybody knows this. And so Jericho says he told his story to show, he was a giant, but very intelligent, and also very humorous with the sarcasm, telling Jericho, everybody knows this. And he also tells a story of how Jericho has one dog that does not like people and is not very friendly, but the first time that Brodie Lee ever came over to his house, that dog just immediately walked up to him and licked his hand, because even his dog could tell how good of a person Brodie Lee was.
Yeah, beautiful story, man.
Yeah.
Jericho just, I don't know. He can just take it to a new level with anecdotes like this to really, prove his point
Yeah.
without really getting into too much detail. It was nice. It was really well done.
So we got Team Taz versus Cody, Orange, and 10. What is his real name?
Preston Vance.
Preston Vance of the Dark Order. So pretty cool. Orange goes to ringside and gives the half-ass fist bump to -1 during his entrance. I thought that was a nice touch. But I didn't really take too many notes for the match here. If you have anything you wanted to add, let me know. But one of the funnier things I saw was when Brian Cage did the delayed vertical suplex on Orange, and Ricky Starks is like, yeah, I want to do it too. And then he gets reversed by Orange. So that was spectacular. Ricky Starks, man, I cannot say this enough. Ricky Starks he's got to be, I don't know if he's in my top 5 of favorite wrestlers yet, but at least top 5 people I want to see on Dynamite every week. Ricky Starks is definitely top 5. Definitely in there. He's so entertaining. Just his facial expressions, like when somebody kicks out of his move and he just makes a face like he can't believe, like, what the hell is happening? Just amazing.
He's so good. He's
amazing.
So good.
Yeah.
He says so much with his body language and his facial expressions. Just everything he does. Like, I agree with you. He's a showman, that's for sure.
Yeah. And even
main eventer. Yeah.
Jericho says that, and probably the biggest praise you can get, says that Ricky Starks reminds him of a young Dwayne Johnson, and JR agrees with him. Dwayne Johnson, as everybody knows, his career turned out okay in professional wrestling, and in dabbled in acting just a little bit, and had a decent career.
So far.
I mean, yeah. So
high praise
Very
though.
high
Yeah.
praise to be compared to Dwayne Johnson. And after they mention it, I can kind of see it. Or at least like his early career when The Rock was, making still on his way up and just
Mm,
showing much more of his personality than what his character was supposed to
mm,
in storyline, but in a good way. So anyway, the finish comes when Taz just randomly decides to grab a chair. So Arn, who's at ringside as well, grabs a chair and they're standing off. And this leads to everybody getting beaten up. Team Taz is out of the ring, except for Ricky Starks, and he gets hit with an orange punch, a crossroads, and a spine buster by 10. Gets the 3 count. You couldn't have written it better. And even if you tried. Anything you wanted to add to about this match though before we get to the aftermatch shenanigans?
no, it was good. You know, obviously it was really a match that was put together by minus one. They said pretty much from the beginning, Cody, uh, Orange Cassidy, and 10 Preston Vance are his favorite wrestlers,
Yep.
and he wanted them to one night only wrestle together, and they put on a show. Even 10, considering he's probably the most green of all the wrestlers out there, as far as I know, he did a good job. You know, he wasn't really taken aback by the spotlight or anything. You can tell why they were building him up to be something more. I thought he did. I thought he did excellent considering the circumstances. Yeah, it was a good match.
Yep. So after the match, Team Taz attacks, of course, because why else would they be out there? And the lights go off, and out comes Darby. But he comes out from the side, and I thought to myself, and Jericho says this at the same time. I was thinking this to myself. He says he came out of the John Moxley entrance. And then the lights go off again, and it's Sting. And what did Jericho say? I didn't write it down, but it was another good line. Something about like, are they friends? Are they together? A couple do-gooders? And Tony Schiavone just says yes to all of the above.
Above.
Uh, So finally, the main event is a tribute to Brodie Lee. We've got Cody in the ring, and he has a quote from Samuel Johnson. I don't know if this is the verbatim quote, but he says, "You should judge a man's character by how he treats a man who can do him no good." And he hears all these stories of people positively affected by Brodie. He was a beautiful man, and he leaves behind a beautiful legacy. So he introduces Brodie Lee Jr. And Brodie Lee Jr. comes out with his mom, 10, and Tony Khan. And he places the boots, Brodie's boots, in the ring, and Cody drapes a bandana over the boots. And then Tony Khan announces that Brodie was the greatest TNT champion of all time, and presents Brodie Jr. the TNT champion for life. And he announces that we are here to celebrate Brodie Lee, and a video package plays. And I cannot do this video package any justice at all, so I won't even try. But it's just a bunch of pictures of Brodie Lee throughout his career in both wrestling and growing up with his wife, and seeing Brodie Jr. kind of growing up through the pictures, and also with his young son now. And very touching, very great video package, and I encourage everybody to go check it out if you haven't seen it, because it's there's no words. It's how good it was. What
Yeah,
did you think?
agreed. That's the best way to end the show. Really, it was really well done. It was a beautiful video package, and it really proved to me, if it wasn't obvious, obviously through everybody talking, but like the video package, like you said, you have to see it for yourself. It really proved that Brody Lee was a lot bigger than the character he played on TV.
And
You know?
and a lot different from the character he played on TV,
Yeah,
obviously.
that's true. That's true. Uh, that's a very good point. He was he was a good family man and a great father. So I'm sure he'll be missed, but he won't be forgotten. That's for sure.
Definitely not. But so that pretty much wraps up Dynamite. Then anything you wanna add to add? We kind of wrapped this review up pretty quickly because this is not gonna be a was never gonna be a typical review, and we're not gonna nitpick and point out all the things that we liked and didn't like about the show. This wasn't really about that tonight.
No, nothing much else to add, man. I gotta say that Brody will be missed. I'm really appreciative, I guess if that's the right word, uh, for what AEW put together here, considering the circumstances and the amount of time they had.
Yeah,
I I was really impressed, and I think it was a fitting tribute that one day his family and friends and loved ones can look back on and be like, "Wow, that was an awesome tribute," you know,
yeah,
to a great man, especially the young son Nolan, because this will be something he can look back on and cherish as a good memory of the people that his father positively affected. Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, just in closing, we're gonna say, I'm really glad that I got to see uh Brodie Lee in his career. I liked him all the way back from when he was Luke Harper in WWE, and I thought he was great as Brodie Lee too. AEW put on a really great show. I can't picture them doing any better than what they did tonight. And I think I mentioned it before, but man, I really wish that we didn't have to have this show, because it would mean that he wasn't gone, and it's very sad and it's very unfortunate, especially around this time of the year. For that to happen to his family is got to be extremely and extra painful. But I'm glad, like you said too, one day his sons will be able to look back and just through this show and all his other matches and his other career, he won't be forgotten.
yeah, agreed. Well put, man.
So I think that's gonna be it for us. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, things can go back to being a little bit more normal, a little bit more uh happy. Hopefully nothing strange goes on.
Yeah, under better circumstances, hopefully. But yeah, it was good. It was good for what it was tonight. Yeah.
But like, yeah, we'll be back next week. Happy New Year, everybody. Have a safe and a good one, and be good, stay safe as always, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching.
Appreciate you tuning in. Thanks, guys. Take care.